It is a dangerous time in life when everything's fallen apart and it seems like all is lost. A dangerous time because in those times we can think that God is against us, or at the very least that God has abandoned us. And it's dangerous because in those times we can lose hope that anything better can happen in our lives, that life will ever be happy again. And we can fall apart, and we can get lost. Last night at the vigil, we read that part from the book of Exodus where the people came up against the Red Sea, and the Egyptians were coming after them. And on this side, you got the Red Sea, and they tried to cross it. They think they drowned. And on the other side, you got the Egyptians, and that was all over with them too. So what are you going to do? Everything's falling apart for them. So what's going on in the gospel this morning? Where you have these women coming to the tomb where their master, their teacher, their friend, their hope is buried after a gruesome death. They're just coming because it's all over. There's nothing here but death. And when they find out, at least we're told, that he has been raised, they run back and tell the apostles, and what's the apostles' response? It's nonsense. That's their first response. But are we so much different than that? When things are falling apart, a number of things. It could be any one of these or more. Our bodies are falling apart. If it hasn't started happening for you, just wait your turn. Or a relationship is falling apart, a real close one, maybe marriage relationship. Or economically, or a number of other things we could mention. When they're falling apart and everything seems lost, we are likely to think that anything more can happen for us, that we would be happy in life, and look at it as a bunch of nonsense. And typically what we might do is keep going back to the tomb, looking at what's dead. And instead of thinking that there can be something new, oftentimes we are more comfortable with what is familiar, even if it's painful, rather than going out and saying, I don't know what's out there, but I think it could be better. I think something more could be in my life. Too often, we're afraid to move from what we know to what we don't know. And so we go back to the tomb, looking at what's dead. But you know what? As in the gospel today, there's nobody there. All you got in the tomb is death. He's gone. He's been raised. And he can raise us to life too. It would be a huge mistake to underestimate the power of God, somehow thinking that God cannot make something new of whatever has fallen apart in our life. That's a huge mistake, to underestimate God's power. I knew a woman 20 years ago or more in the last century, and in another place. I knew the family. And the woman was turning 69, and she felt old. Now, I don't think 69 is old, okay? Just want to let you know that. I don't think so. It used to seem so, but it really isn't, okay? But the point is, she did. She thought 69 was old. And she felt it because her knees were bothering her. And so she got a cane because she felt a little unstable on her feet. And so she's kind of bending over at 69 and, kind of hobbling along a little bit there, and she's depressed. I can understand that if you're thinking that way. So she's depressed. And so coming up her 69th birthday, two of her daughters says, we got to do something for Mom. We'll call this woman Gladys. And so they said, Mom, we're going to take you on a luncheon boat cruise on a calm lake. Now, that's what you do with old people, isn't it? You take them on a nice, calm cruise and have a little ladies' luncheon, and everything is just fine. Well, they did, and she was appreciative, but it didn't raise her spirits a whole lot. So after they got off the cruise, and they found out it didn't do a whole lot, one of the daughters got this harebrained idea, and she said, Mom, we're going to take you parasailing. And of course, Gladys says, that's not going to happen. That's ridiculous. We can't do that. I'm too old. Well, let's just go down to the dock and check it out. So they took Gladys down to the dock, and they went there and found out what it was about and how safe it was and how gentle it was and all that. And so they convinced her to go parasailing. So they went down to the boat, and they're getting on the boat, and these two 25 or so guys, bronze muscle kind of guys are up there, and say, ladies, we're ready to, strap you in, said it to the daughters, and they said, oh no, we're not going. Our mom is. They looked at her and said, how old is she? And they said, she's 69. How long do you want her to wait? I said, okay. So they were very gentle with her, strapped her in really tight, everything is secure, and took the boat out. And there's this nice platform. If you've ever done it, there's this nice platform, and the parachute goes up, and then Gladys kind of goes up with it, and she's way up there, and the daughters are down there thinking, what have we done? We don't know. But anyway, it's been done. So she's up there about 20 minutes. That's about all you get. And then they reel her back in. She lands really nice and safely. But when she comes down, they notice she has this broad smile on her face. And in fact, they said she was radiant. So they unstrapped her, and she got in the boat, and they said, Mom, what did you see up there? She said, I could see what God sees. I could see the beauty of nature. I have been looking at my own little life right here as if that's all there was. But there's so much more. I saw the beauty of nature, and I saw, once I realized that, the beauty of what I have. They got back to the dock. She didn't take her cane, and she walked off the dock a different woman. This is a true story. If we think that God does not have the power to make something new out of our fallen lives, God would consider that utter nonsense. God raised Jesus Christ from the dead, and he can do the same for us.